Hello everyone and welcome back to Your Basic Nerd, which is still a channel where I document my highly imperfect attempts at nerdy hobbies. And today we're still working on Simon's coffee, but we're doing something new this week. We will be making plants, which I'm really excited about. I've already taken out a lot of the stuff that I will need to make them. So we have paper, a green stem, and then the plant designs, I guess. And here we have the instructions, so let's get into it. All right, so let's start with the first bonsai, which is of course bonsai number 1. And if we take a quick look at the instructions, there's actually a few steps, so we're gonna be careful not to mess up anything. It looks like we'll be using this cute little flower pot that we made several weeks ago and putting another flower pot into it. And then the general principle for the plants is that you cut the leaves, which is the word I was looking for in the intro. I'm filming on a weekday morning again because I went hiking and camping this weekend, so I'm not quite awake yet. Hopefully Simon's coffee will do the trick. So yeah, you cut the leaves, then you fold them in half, and then you put them on this little stem. And you make a little plant. Then you put all of the different leaves together and it makes a plant. You put it into the flower pots. So the principle looks pretty simple, but we just need to follow the instructions in order as usual. So let's start as they do with the flower pot A. So the brown box that's gonna go into our wooden box. There we go, and I think we're supposed to make a hole in the little right circle. So I'm gonna do that now since it's probably easier than waiting until it's all assembled. Oops. There we go. And then we have fold, trim, and glue as usual. And I apologize if you hear noise from outside throughout the video. That's the drawback of filming on the Monday morning, because it's construction season here right now. It's also moving season and people are going to school, to work, so it's very noisy today. So hopefully you don't hear too much of that, but if you do, you can tell yourselves that it's city noise, so kind of nice in a way. So here I folded everything and I just need to glue the flaps, and this needs to stay on top. So let's see which order we want to do this in. Okay, so that's our box. I'm gonna leave it aside to dry. And then we'll move on to making the separate leaves. So we have N42 that we need to cut. Yeah, and then so we're allowed to cut them all separately. Then we'll use a different stem for each one. So it's gonna be a fairly slow going process, I think, to make all of the plants because the designs are all different and somewhat complex. So you're cutting round shapes and there's a lot of them, but we're gonna be patient. Okay, so we have all our leaves. The look is very nice. The green leaves are very pretty. So I'm excited to see the final look. And then I think this is the tricky part where we need to prep everything to make each individual leaf that will go onto the main plant. So we have these bits of green stem that we need to cut to the right length. And yet the instructions continue on the next page. So we have 45 millimeters, I'm guessing. 45, 40, 40, 35, and 30, and 30. So I'm gonna cut those. And then we put the stem through the hole in the middle of the leaves. Then we fold the leaf and we glue it. So it's not that complicated. It's just the first one that I want to get right. And then the technique should remain the same for all of the upcoming plants. And I think right now the biggest challenge is to find the beginning of the stem to cut it without getting it too messy. And then I think we have to be careful not to pierce through the whole part where the two leaves are joined. Although we could still glue them, but let's try not to do that. And then let the stem go through the hole of N42 and glue as shown. And then we would fold it and glue it, hopefully hiding the stem completely. So that seems pretty simple. Let's see how it works in practice. All right, so those are looking very nice. And then I need to use this green paper, cut a little bit, and it's gonna make the bouquet at the bottom. So it's supposed to be 15 by 5 millimeter. And is there a better side than the other? Yes, I think this should be the back. Then how are we supposed to put this together? Okay, so you can see in the image that the leaves are sort of folded. I don't know if they did it before or after they added the paper at the bottom. I guess you try and make it look nice while you're assembling the whole thing. So let's see. I'm trying to make it tight, but it's a lot harder than it seems. And there's more glue on my fingers than on the paper. Okay, this is a disaster. Let's stop and try again. And the paper is sort of disintegrating because of the glue. And it's sticking onto my fingers. At least that part isn't gonna be visible. It's just that it needs to stick together so that the bouquet stays as one piece. Okay, so putting a lot of glue was clearly a terrible idea. I won't do that again. But yeah, I think there we go. And then I'm clearly gonna need a way bigger incision than that to fit the whole thing inside the brown box. So we're learning here. Next time we'll know how everything works. That enough? Yeah, all right, that's not bad. And then I'm gonna arrange the leaves so that it looks nice. Yeah, so I think there's gonna be a good side and a bad side to the plant, but that's okay, we'll just show the good side. Then they say glue is shown for both the flower pot and the wood box which it goes in, so I'm gonna add a touch of glue, even though it's not gonna be as pretty, just to ensure that it stays in place, hopefully. And then I guess I can just peel off the extra glue later. And then it's a good thing that we have the wooden box so that it stands upright. And I'm adding a liberal amount of glue again. And let's see, it's a little bit big. All right. This is looking very cute. I'm happy to be making plants. So I'm gonna show a better angle later at the end, but here you can already get a preview. There's glue strands sticking to it, but I think the leaves are pretty balanced and the look with the wooden box is nice. So very happy with this step. So let's leave it here for now. And then we have plant B, which is also a bonsai, that we would make the same way. So we cut the leaves from N23 and N29 actually. So two different types of leaves. We cut the stems. And then I guess we're gonna build another pot for this one. So let's start by cutting the leaves. And it's sort of difficult to tell, maybe even more on camera, but in the instructions you can definitely see that the leaves have holes in them. So these aren't just like cutting the outside shape, you also need to cut the little holes inside. We all know that cutting isn't my greatest skill, so we'll see how we do. Okay, so we have the first one done. It's taking a while, but it's very pleasing and relaxing. So I'm enjoying the step, even though it's a bit longer. And then I think I still need to cut a hole in the middle probably in order to pass the stem through. And then let's do the other ones. All right, so here we have our first 3 finished leaves. It took over 15 minutes just to cut them, but it wasn't too bad. I think it's one of the parts that I like about those model kits. It's sort of meditative almost. You just cut and the design is nice and everything is going well, and it's just very relaxing. And those leaves are particularly pretty. There's different shades of green on them, so there's a certain depth to them. So a very enjoyable step. And now we just have to cut the last 3 leaves and then we'll do the stems and the assembly. So these ones should be quicker as well. All right, and then let's cut the stems. We'll have to pay close attention because different leaves have different stem length, including those different types. So for the 3 big ones, we have 60, 55, and 45. Okay. Then for the small leaves, we have 55, 45, and 35. That one just flew off way into the distance, so I'm gonna get up and get it after I finish cutting the other ones. And quick intermissions to find the bit of wire that we're missing. Okay, and then like the previous plant, we put the wire through the hole and then glue it. So I'm gonna leave that aside, and then I think I need to build the pot for the second one. So let's find N11 and N13. I already had them close by. Okay, so now I think I want to read the instructions very carefully because this paper is suspicious. There's dotted lines that we know are meant to be places that are folded, but there's also a red dotted line that I'm not sure what its use is. So let's see. They say fold along the dotted line and glue, fix with clip, which hopefully I don't want to do. So I think definitely you have to fold the middle, and then it just makes the paper sturdier or more sturdy, I don't know. And then you fold the flap to close it. It looks on the very tiny picture like the pot isn't that high. It's rather that this line is glued onto the bottom here. So I'm not sure if it means that I'm supposed to cut along the red dotted line and then glue the thing back on just lower. I think that's what I'm gonna do. It's all the same for the rest of the assembly, so I'm gonna do that and hopefully it's right. At least the proportions look like that's what you're supposed to do in the picture, but they don't say anything, so let's try that. Yeah, I think that looks closer to the picture, and you can definitely see that there's an extra layer in the final product, so hopefully that works. Then we can fold and glue the two sides together. And I get why they say to use a clip to get it to dry, but hopefully if I just push with the toothpick a bit, it should be okay. But you know, when they have to give such precise instructions as to how to get the piece to stick, you wonder if they couldn't have just, you know, found better instructions. But this isn't too bad, actually. I think it's gonna hold together. Yeah, I think that's fine. So it can just wait for us here. Then we deal with the soil, I guess it would be. So fold, glue, and trim as well. So now we just have to assemble the whole thing. All right, I think this is good. And then the last step is just to glue the flaps onto the inside of the pot. So hopefully the fit is good. I guess we'll find out. Oh, and it even stands upright, so that's good. And then I just need to do some artistic folding so that the plant looks good. I guess I would aim for the part without the fold to be the front. And I'll try to balance the weight so that it still stands upright at the end. Okay, so I think if I blow on it, it's gonna fall down, but let's say that's good for now. And let's look at our final products. All right, so these are our two first plants. They took over 90 minutes to make, so I'm gonna be rushing off to work after this. But it was a very enjoyable and relaxing step, as I said throughout the process. The instructions weren't too complicated. The final look is very aesthetically pleasing, so happy with that, and I'm really looking forward to the next ones. I think we're starting to near the end of the individual items in Simon's Coffee, so in a couple weeks maybe we should get to the final assembly. But yeah, it's been nice to do something different than boxes and tiny items with these plants this week. Oops, I guess it doesn't sound completely upright, but I'm gonna work on fixing it. So yeah, very enjoyable step anyway. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one. Bye!